Okay. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Health of West Windsor Township of February 10th, 2025. Allison, can you call the roll, please?
Gawas. Here. Jeevers. Here. Mandel.
Here.
Weiss.
Here.
And have we adequately noticed?
Yes, we've been adequately noticed on January 17th, 2025 to the Times in the Princeton packet, filed with the municipal clerk and posted at the municipal building and on the township website. Please stand for the salute to the flag.
And I'm going to now open public comment, and this is for the Board of Health meeting only. So I'm opening public comment for the Board of Health meeting.
Please begin by stating your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes for public comment.
I just need 30 seconds. My name is Warren Metlack. I live at 5 Stoneley Drive. I just want to ask in the future, I just picked this up outside the annual report. I wasn't able to find it on the website. I would have liked to see it ahead of time because I want to see what's in it. And I did see, maybe I looked in the wrong place. There's a report from 2019 that's on the health section of the website, but I didn't see this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak public comment for Board of Health? Seeing none, I will close the public comment. And at this point, I'm going to open it up to Jill. Jill, we did get the report. We thank you. It's very, very comprehensive, very easy to read at the same time. So we really appreciate the information and report. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. The report will be posted to the website. I have 3 Board of Health meetings this week. One.
Can you pull that a little closer?
I guess we'll.
Yeah.
Okay, is
Right,
that better?
really close.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will post the Board of Health annual report to the website. I have 3 Board of Health meetings this week, and I wanted to give each Board of Health the opportunity if there were any suggested additions or changes before we posted it the final report.
So this is more like a draft report and at this point.
I wouldn't call it a draft, but I would like the opportunity to address any concerns that the Board of Health in any of the 3 towns may have and revise it if necessary before posting to the public.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have quite a few things to go over tonight, but in regard to a few things I'd like to point out. I won't go through the entire report since we have quite a few things to discuss. But on page 21, we talk health education and outreach. And you'll notice this was somewhat robust compared to the past. We had 192 health education activities in 2024, 43 community events, 31 senior center events, 75 lessons at schools, daycares, and 17 clinic tabletops. And this was feasible for us because we transitioned this outreach staff and disease investigators that were onboarded during the COVID-19 grant funding cycles. And we transitioned them into health education and outreach, doing preventative health and health education throughout some of this outreach was related to infection control and some was preventative health, more chronic disease related. We are seeing federal funding come to a close at the end of June 30th, 2024. So just a heads up that we will not be able to maintain this level of health education that we have in the past. And the second thing I wanted to highlight is our overview of the goals and objectives for 2025. Our plan is to continue partnering, doing community health improvement planning, both with the Greater Mercer Public Health Partnership and Penn Medicine Princeton. Those are 2 separate initiatives for health education and planning and community improvement. We are also we began working on a risk communication plan development, continuation of the digitation of the block and lot files, workforce development for leadership training for our inspecting staff and nurses, and continuous quality improvement, our health department website resources. We have a lot of information on there, but it's not necessarily easy to find what you're looking for. So we really want to improve the quality of how to tap into that. And then, of course, ensuring that we have an easy transition through this grant funding cycle and other transitions we're expecting in the health department. And part of that will be ensuring that we have departmental standard operating procedures updated. And those are our primary objectives. So just wanted to highlight out those few items. And if there are any suggestions for the report or the quarterly reports, I'm happy to receive them either tonight or via email, and we will incorporate them moving forward.
Does anyone have any suggestions at this point for the reports? Before we go on?
It's very comprehensive, so thank you for doing this.
Thank
And
you.
pictures and charts, which we like. We like that.
In color even.
Any, I guess on maybe another topic about bird flu.
Yeah,
That'll be on another
yeah,
topic, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on my list of items to cover.
Yeah, I'd also like to comment on your point about upgrading or enhancing information on the website. You should probably know that a new website is being developed for the entire township, so it's important for you to get that feedback into that process. So
Yes.
just give you a heads up about that.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we do also have two resolutions on for the business session, and one is a resolution appointing Jean Ward as a registrar, and we have renewal of the shared service for the Robbinsville Township Public Health Services. Any questions regarding those items before I move on?
The only thing with shared services is that I would want the township to be covering our expenses. Just basic salaries are upwards of 4% annually, 3.5%, 4%. So that's my only concern. We have to have, new vehicles and different things. So it's a lot of costs.
Understood. There is, and there has been historically every year, 2% increase incorporated. A further, more in-depth cost analysis could be conducted in the future. Public health is difficult to quantify, as we've seen over the years. There are some years then certain communities may require more attention than others, and that flows from year to year. So it's not a set formula, but we could certainly look at some of the costing analysis that is out there for public health moving forward. It's not something that can happen overnight, but it's something that we can plan for the future.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate that.
I will note too that in the past, when we've had discussions with the shared services contracts, there have been programs that we historically have provided in public health that the other communities have taken on, whether it's in their code enforcement office or housing office, such as nuisance enforcement, housing code in the other towns. They own those programs as opposed to the health department conducting those in those communities. Vital statistics, pet licensing, things like that are also conducted by their clerical staff in those offices as opposed to the health department. So over the years, we have kind of reallocated those responsibilities back to those communities to keep the cost contained and the hours dedicated. Yeah. Okay, I will move on to a brief update on respiratory illness. Just a few highlights from the state's report. Respiratory illness surveillance report for the week ending February 1st. This is the most up-to-date one released. Emergency department visits and hospital admissions remain elevated for influenza, stable for COVID-19 since last week, and decreased for RSV. The levels of COVID-19 and influenza A in wastewater have been increasing over the past month. The sharpest increase in influenza A. COVID-19 levels are elevated, but remain lower than the summer of 2024 peak. And there are recent declines in RSV levels in wastewater. And a note for those who have gotten their flu shot and COVID-19 updated shots, the predominant COVID-19 variants are covered in the 2024-2025 COVID-19 vaccine, and the predominant circulating influenza A subtype is included in the 24-25 influenza vaccine. So if you have not been updated, this may be a time to consider doing so.
But that's good. So you're saying you can get your shots now if you haven't gotten them, but it's still okay to move forward to get them?
Yes,
shots.
it's a bit late in the season for the flu shot, but it's still recommended if you have not gotten the most up-to-date flu shot to consider doing so. Yes. And a few notes on avian influenza. We are seeing a lot of attention around this topic lately. Avian influenza, wild aquatic birds are considered the natural host for bird flu. The virus can also infect other birds and mammals sporadically. Currently in the US, sporadic outbreaks have been reported in poultry, an ongoing multi-state outbreak in dairy cows, and sporadic infection in mammals. Human case reports include a total of 68 confirmed cases in humans. This is across the US, 1 resulting in US and 7 probable cases. The majority of human cases are associated with exposure to related to commercial, agricultural, and related operations. And this is current as of February 10th today, based on CDC reporting. Currently, the risk to the general public remains low. No human cases are reported in New Jersey, and no person-to-person spread is reported nationally. People who work in close contact with animals, birds, wildlife, or livestock may be at increased risk and should follow recommendations that are specific for that group. Recommendations for the general public at this time is to stay informed and monitor for status updates. Both New Jersey State Health Department and the CDC have specific websites that provide information. NewJersey.gov/H5N1 is the website for New Jersey, and CDC.gov/bird-flu for the CDC website. And there are links to the multiple different agencies that are monitoring this current situation, as well as guidance for specific groups. Second recommendation is to avoid contact with wild birds and other animals infected or suspected to be infected. Report dead or sick birds. Domestic birds, so if you have backyard chickens, or you know someone with backyard chickens, they're sick, or there's been recent death, the New Jersey Department of Ag is the reporting agency. And for wild birds, the New Jersey DEP hotline, which is 877-WARN-DEP. We will get those numbers. I know that was a concern. We'll get those numbers more front and center. They're on our website, but they're buried under the health website. So we'll get a link to that on the main page.
And we'll put out an e-bulletin with some of that information, so everybody has that, right?
Sure. Further recommendations are: do not consume raw unpasteurized milk or milk products. Cook your poultry, eggs, and beef to safe internal food temperatures. If you have any questions about what they are, give us a call. We'll be happy to go over those safe temperatures with you. Get your seasonal flu shot. The seasonal flu shot protects against other strains of influenza which are currently circulating. The seasonal flu vaccine reduces your risk of getting sick this season and the potential for co-infection with both bird flu and seasonal flu at this time. This is important because having both types of flu at the same time could allow the virus to change in ways that enables it to spread easily from human to human, which is what we're concerned about, or one of the main things we're concerned about. It's also been brought to my attention that there's been some questions from a few residents who enjoy walking and playing outdoors, but find it hard to avoid case strappings. It's important to remember that the majority of human cases of avian influenza occur in people who have prolonged or close contact with sick or dead animals. There have been no reports of human cases associated with exposure to bird droppings on sports fields or playgrounds. However, it's always important to take care and avoid contact with feces from wildlife. Droppings can carry many types of viruses, bacteria, and parasites. If recreating outdoors in areas with large concentrations of waterfowl and other water birds, please take care to wash clothes and disinfect footwear and equipment before traveling to other areas with domestic birds or pets. Footwear and equipment may be washed with soap and water, then disinfected with household bleach, diluted 1 to 10 parts with water for at least 10 minutes. Follow up with hand washing, and of course, encourage children to wash their hands frequently and especially after playing outdoors. Human infections are rare. Symptoms range from mild to severe. Treatment is antivirals. If you're ill with flu-like symptoms and suspect that you may have been exposed to sick or dead birds within the prior 10 days, discuss that exposure with your physician. They are the best person to evaluate the need for further testing, and often they will call for consult with local health or state health department at that point in time. Any questions on bird flu before I move on?
Just the dead birds that are the particularly Canadian geese that I think they've been finding in Robbinsville and a couple of nearby. If you do spot one of those birds, what number should some people call?
So so in Robbinsville, it was nearby to Robbinsville where there were some dead birds, but not necessarily in Robbinsville. There was concern because it was in a nearby community. I would ask that if you are in town and you notice some dead or sick birds, the state is asking the notice to go into DEP, which is, read it again, it's 1877 Warren DEP. I would also ask that you call the local police department at the non-emergency number. So in West Windsor, that would be 609-799-1222. And the reason for that is so that we have a local awareness of what's happening in our community. We will have response from DEP. Some birds may be tested, some may not be. It may depend on the species, the number in that area. There are a lot of factors in evaluating whether the bird will be tested or not. And locally, we need to have an awareness of what's happening and where the birds are. So if you could make that dual report, it would be appreciated.
And would somebody pick up the bird, or is the homeowner, say it's in somebody's backyard, will that be picked up by DEP, by our local? Or
Those are questions we are still trying to get definitive answers from DEP. It may be a case by case evaluation of whether they want to whether the state wants to respond to that bird, or whether animal control would be responding and bagging that bird and getting rid of it.
We're telling the homeowners not to do it at this point?
We wouldn't recommend the homeowner do it. If a homeowner feels so inclined, they feel that they want to do that immediately, there are steps you should take to protect yourself. Use tools, use protective gear, put the bird in a double bag, secure it before disposing of it. So there are directions on the Fish, Game and Wildlife website on how to do that safely as a homeowner, if you're choosing to do that. I think, it's, the number of birds that are being called in, it's difficult for, the Fish, Game and Wildlife to be able to respond to every single report of a bird, from our perspective. So we are still working out those details. And at this point, I would say it's case by case on how that bird will be handled. But we'll
Okay.
continue to look at the guidance that we receive from our state partners. I know they're working hard at trying to find some solutions on handling the number of calls that are coming in.
And now a question I don't want to ask. Do you see any issue with people continuing to put out bird feeders? Now it's winter time. A lot of people do like to put out food,
So-
seed and stuff for the birds.
So there've been no reports from connecting bird flu to backyard bird feeders and that activity. It's always wise because birds have other concerns besides bird flu. But it's always wise when you're cleaning that bird feeder and cleaning up around the area to use gloves and to use care, not necessarily specifically for the bird flu concern, but for other
Well, I'm
bacterial.
thinking
threats.
also like of not only us catching something, but any reports that this is helping spread amongst the birds. There isn't anything local with that issue?
Not
No.
with, most people who are putting bird feeders out are targeting more different
Yeah.
types of birds than the waterfowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from council?
If there's any geese droppings, let's say at a school, something like that is observed, do they call the health department first? Do they call the school, DEP? Or-
For geese droppings,
Yeah,
there
I
are,
mean, let's say schools.
there's
So-
geese droppings prevalent throughout New Jersey. So no, there's not a recommended approach at this time for clearing properties of geese droppings,
I
and
was just concerned about the kids, they're in the
right.
playground.
So again, the hand washing, if the shoes or the clothes are contaminated, following the recommendations for cleaning with soap and water and the bleach disinfection. Yeah. Anything further?
Thing on that, did you have more to talk about? or-
I
Okay,
do.
yeah.
I'm usually quick. I apologize, but there were a
Yes.
few things
So-
on the
Sorry
list.
sorry for the list of questions.
I was also asked to give an overview of the lead safe housing stats. So at this point, as you know, by July of 2024, anyone renting a home that fell within a certain timeline was required to have a certification, either a lead safe certificate or a lead free certificate. So at this point, we have 76 rental properties have attained the lead safe certificate and 8 have a lead free certificate. Both are acceptable certificates. That's a total of 84. 38, it's about 50-50. 38 properties use the LU, the township facilitated contractor, and 46 use private contractors. We estimate that this is about 44% compliant, and we base that on some estimates. Since we don't have a rental registration in place in town, we are estimated this based on 190 properties, according to the tax records, have an owner with a different mailing address from the property location. So we're assuming those are all rental properties and they fall within the timeline for having to have this certificate. We did issue notices last fall, second notices to those property owners. If identified in the future, the non-compliant owners are subject to $1,000 per week fine. Once we are aware of them, we will give them notice. They have 30 days to comply, and a failure to cure would be dealt with a summons, and it's $1,000 per week for noncompliance. Any questions?
Hmm. Do we have any kind of time frame as to when we think we'll get to everybody that we think might have?
The difficulty is that we're not necessarily going to knock on everybody's door and ask them if they're a renter. We're making an assumption that if the tax rep, but we can't go into court with a summons based on that assumption. We'd have to have either a renter come forward and indicate that the landlord is non-compliant or become aware of that rental in another way. Sometimes we will have a neighbor complain about a rental property, or a tenant may have an issue. And other than that, we really can't prove that it's a rental property.
And these are mostly like single family type houses or couple of family, small.
It's either single family or two family,
Family.
which falls into this group.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a bit difficult to enforce, although over time, I believe it will come closer to compliance. And one last topic, if no more questions on that. Dog licensing, an update on the dog licensing stats. We compared 2015 or 2016 with 2024 and 25. So in 2016, we had 1,043 dogs in town. In 2024, we ended the year with 707. And right now, as of Friday, we had 534, which will come close to the 707. They do straggle in over the year. But more concerning is the town is growing from 2016 to 2024, and we're seeing a drop in dog licensing. So we are increasing our messaging to try to get compliance. We've developed a pet owners guide for residents, which will go on the website. There's a few we just finished this today, so it's not quite on the website yet. And this will be distributed to homeowners associations, management companies for different complexes throughout town, trying to seek voluntary compliance rather than enforcement with residents. And our past strategies to keep those numbers up was an in-depth dog census and enforcement in court for non-compliance. So, that's an investment both of temporary staff in the summer to do that census and then the associated court actions for enforcement. And the fines are not all that high right now. So I would suggest if we consider going back down that avenue, we look at our fee structure for licensing and enforcement.
It's surprising to see the numbers drop because during COVID, we know for sure, certain that a lot of residents who were not pet owners also became pet owners.
Right.
Or got second or third pet, like in
Right.
household.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is licensed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
Well, my daughter.
more education to the residents about the necessity of licensing, I think is important. I know last time when we held the I had put a message about licensing
rabies?
and there were some, no, not rabies, about dog licensing. The deadline was January
Right,
31st.
yeah, no, we put a
But
bunch
there
of
were
messages.
a few residents who were questioning it.
Yeah.
Why do we need to
Oh, yeah, I
get a
got,
pet license?
Right.
That
Mhm.
was surprising to hear that, and we had to
yeah.
some
we
explanations.
just-
about
we had to
it.
go through that it's a state law. We've gone through, yeah, it's
Right.
like there are people who are actually shocked that there are dog licenses. So, yeah, so I assuming there's education, I mean, I can probably go on one of my 2-mile walks and hit 500 dogs or something on any given
Yeah.
day. So,
Have we
now-
reached out to the local vets and maybe try to get the information out to the local vets?
We can try again. Vets are usually very good when a puppy comes in or a new dog to remind folks that they're required to get licensed. And when they get a rabies shot at their vet as opposed to the clinic, it's pretty routine language that, you'll need this for your licensing. But we can certainly send a flyer and ask each practice.
Maybe
Yeah.
Have a flyer about dog licensing, on their bulletin
Yeah.
boards or whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think might be helpful.
Maybe
Sure.
put a QR code to where they can just go and, can they fill in the license online, I would assume? When,
Lose this.
a little bit.
They either have to do a paper, the mail, stop in person.
Oh, okay. So they could get to the website where the form is, but they can print it, but.
And mail it in, yeah.
And is that something we could look at to make it a little easier?
We've looked at it. The dog licensing fees are not that high. And you would incur that cost if you were paying online. You would have to pay that extra cost for processing online.
Is
We
it?
could probably look into providing that option. You could do paper or online because the people do prefer doing things online. Like
Yeah.
I got a message the other day, oh, it's January 31st. I can't get in to drive in, or mailing in would be late, but then like, can I just?
Maybe-
online?
maybe,
Even if I
hmm.
have to pay extra, at least I get it in.
That's why they
But
call
the
it a
rec-
convenience. fee.
yes.
Right.
Like the rec department has put just about everything online now, and if there's some way to get into that system, I think it's actually a county or another, it's now a whole system that you can register, and maybe if you could use the same registration that you do for our stuff, that I think even for camping over at the campgrounds here, and yeah, the community pass gets you into a bunch of different things. So maybe that's registration, and people will be willing to pay $2, I guess. I mean, they'll complain about it because.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, it's a $10 license if you're not, so
But
fee, so we can certainly look at it, but it would be an
yeah,
extra couple
I
of bucks.
mean, we could charge for it, but people probably want that convenience. I think
Yeah.
the compliance numbers do look like they're low, and I really like to feel that dogs are getting their rabies shots and do have a license.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
a
Yes,
stamp
mine
is
is-
73
Cents.
cents. So that's
Yeah.
probably half the cost of the
Oh,
online.
that's
convenience fee
right.
anyway.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I have that argument with my husband all the time about the 73 cents versus my dropping it over that. But anyway, that might be something that if we could just camp into a system that we already use right there, then it would be relatively easy, and we would just charge the extra convenience fee.
There are issues with the timing of shots that dogs are required to get, and then with renewing the license, there's something there that's.
So there's a state law that requires that the dog license is valid for 10 months of the license year. So that means that if your dog license expires first, the rabies vaccination has to be current for 10 months through that year. So it has to be current until November 1st. So there are some situations where they have to overlap a rabies vaccination in order to get a current annual license.
So
some-
2 shots for rabies then?
I'm sorry.
So they'd have to get a second shot to be in compliance, or?
So let's do the scenario that you adopt a puppy in June and the puppy gets its first vaccination at 3 months, right? June, July, August, September. So the first year, that first shot is good for a year, right? So it'll expire the following September. So when you get that following September, it then has a 3-year valid, right? But when that 3-year expires, or even when that first year expires, when you come in to get licensed on that year that the September shot expires, we can't license you in January, even though that rabies is valid in January, it won't be valid as of October 1st. So we can't license you. So you're overlapping that last year. Some individuals do not want to overlap the rabies vaccination. Do I think that's the reason we don't have dogs being licensed? Absolutely not. It may be one reason, but it's not the only. Awareness can be another.
Any more questions for Jill on dog license? No? Or on anything else at this point? No? Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Jill.
Jill.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we do have one more public comment period for Board of Health. Is there anybody opening the public comment for Board of Health? Does anybody wish to make a public comment? Oh, do we have
We
minutes?
do have to
I'm sorry,
circle
where are the
back and
minutes?
approve minutes
Yeah.
also.
Oh, we should, yeah, we should have done that. Okay,
Yep.
fine. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yep, these are minutes of the Board of Health, November 12th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second, roll call?
Gauss,
Yes.
Chevers.
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Mandel.
Yes. All right, now I'll open the second public comment. Minutes could have been supposed to be before the presentation, all right. Seeing none, I will close public comment. And can I get a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting?
Salute.
So, you can do.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we've adjourned and we will now move into the regular business meeting. And at this point, I will call to order the business meeting for February 10th for West Windsor Township to 2025. We get a roll call
Gauss,
Here.
Chevers.
Here.
Mandel,
here,
Weiss.
Here.
and we have adequately noticed this meeting also,
Yes,
correct?
this business meeting was adequately noticed on January 17th, 2025 to the Times in the Princeton Packet, filed with the municipal clerk and posted at the municipal building on the township website. Please stand for the salute to the flag.
Can I do that
Or
again?
We already,
We did it.
well, we already did it at the Board of Health, so we can
Yeah,
wave it. and
Yeah, we
roll right-
usually waive it. We've,
Yeah.
right, we've already done the salute to the flag. Ceremonial matters, we have a proclamation celebrating February is Black History Month. Unfortunately, Martin Whitfield had a personal emergency. He usually likes to read the proclamation. And he will make some comments about Black History Month at our next meeting, and so I'll read the proclamation. Whereas Black History Month is a time to commemorate the historic struggles of African Americans to gain freedom and equality, and to recognize the importance of these struggles to our country's history and ideals, and to celebrate the many achievements African Americans have made to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development as a nation. And whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and whereas in 2025, the national theme for observance is African Americans and Labor, the focus will be on the significant contributions of Black Americans to the workforce throughout history, encompassing both the struggles of slavery and the achievements of Black entrepreneurs and organized labor movements in pursuing economic equality and empowerment. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the ongoing need to enhance our understanding of Black history, to overcome racism, and to build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. And whereas the Township of West Windsor continues to work toward becoming an even more inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions to our community, the county, and the state. And whereas the Township of West Windsor is proud to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our community, such as our senior center and schools throughout New Jersey and the nation, now therefore be it resolved that Mia Hema Marathi and the Township Council of the Township of West Windsor hereby proclaims February as Black History Month in perpetuity and encourages all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. Thank you, and we will be putting this up on the website, and we keep these in an honored place in our council room. Thanks. Okay, I will now open the public comment for our regular meeting. That's 3-minute limit per person. You will notice that we have a new time clock up there, so it'll be a little easier to realize when it's closer to when your 3 minutes are up. And I welcome anybody who wishes to make public comment to come on up. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Oop, Thank you always comes. I'll just hold it. John Church, 11 Princeton Place. Good to see you all on this cold winter night. I'm very interested in resolution R065 about hazmats for several reasons. First of all, I worked with such materials my whole career in chemistry. It was our research and development in chemistry. You name a hazardous material, I have been in contact with it. As long also with heavy equipment, with steam and all kinds of things that you wouldn't even want to think about. So I'm very interested in hazmats, not that I really want to have anything more to do with them, but just so you know that is a special field of interest for me. I was on the safety committee actually at the laboratory. Anyway, the other reason is that reading over the shared services agreement, there's a lot of stuff in here that actually is very interesting, not least of which is the fact that it could involve considerable expense to the township. And especially in terms of the hazmat truck that we have. I noticed on the 2025 capital budget, there is an item there for purchase of $1.6 million to replace the existing hazmat vehicle, which goes back, I think, 25 years or so. I think council would be interested in maybe examining the log books for that vehicle, just to see how many times it's been out, what it's done, how many miles it has on it, and what condition it really is. That's a very expensive vehicle. And since we're going to be servicing many other towns besides our own, I think it would be incumbent on council to be aware of the fact that it is a large amount of money and that other towns should probably contribute to the expense, this very large capital expense for this one truck. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about R065. I look forward to further debate about hazmats in general. It's a subject I really am very interested in, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, John. Would anybody else like to get up and give public comment? No, I'm going to close the first public comment then. Move on.
Madam President, I would like to make an announcement that there is going to be an additional resolution added to tonight's agenda that was added after it went out to the public. And it's resolution 2025-R066, which will be approving the appointment of Jean Ward as the Registrar of Vital Statistics for the Health Department.
Thank you. Great. Council member comments, or let's do administration comments. Carrie? That's off.
Can you press the red?
I think there it is now. So we have several announcements tonight. A reminder first that the township will be closed on February 17th for President's Day. Another reminder on sewer rent is due on March 1st. It has a grace period until March 10th. Payments received after March 10th will be charged interest from March 1st until the payment is received per NJSA 54-4-67. A couple upcoming events for the township. The Senior Center is hosting 2025 AARP free tax services. Appointments are required, and you can contact the Senior Center at 609-799-2400. in conjunction with the tax collector's office, the senior center is also hosting a property tax relief information session for homeowners and renters over 65 and older. Information on the following programs will be reviewed: Senior Freeze, Anchor, and Stay NJ benefits. Registration is required, and you can do that with the senior center or the tax collector's office. You can call or stop by to register, and that's March 10th from at 1:00 p.m. at the senior center. A reminder that the 2025 Dad-Daughter Dance is February 21st, 2025 from 6:30 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. at Mercer Oaks Golf Club. Registration information is on the Parks and Rec webpage if you have not registered already. With upcoming storms that we have, I wanted to just give everybody a few reminders on snow removal and safety, and to stay safe and warm as we have these couple storms coming up. Please remove your vehicle from the street when snow is forecast. Please avoid driving on, during, or immediately after a heavy snowstorm. The less snowplow operators encounter of cars and people and vehicles, the more efficiently the roads can be cleared, and that property owners are responsible for snow removal on sidewalks within 24 hours after the cease of snowfall per Municipal Code 152-18. And we have some tips on how to properly clear your driveway. Place any snow once you're snow plowing to the right of your driveway on your own property, not into the street. And by placing it in this area on the right-hand side, it lessens the amount of snow that is plowed by our snowplow trucks back into the driveway so that they can keep the snow going. Yard waste collection will resume next month on March 3rd. Currently, yard waste can be dropped off at Public Works site Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. or Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The annual burglar alarm registration is ongoing through March 31st. Township requirements for burglar alarm registration is on the website. You can register with the police department. There is a $25 fee to register burglar alarms, and you can contact the records division at 609-799-9282. Mercer County will be hosting a public information session on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025 regarding the Princeton Heightstown Road improvement projects. It will be hosted here in the municipal building in room A from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are getting the information up on the website, so that should go out to all the residents, but I wanted to make the announcement tonight. And people are actively encouraged to participate at the meeting, and you can send questions in by email or providing comments at the meeting. And then finally, the 31st annual Lewis Bay Second Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition for high school juniors and seniors is information is now on the website, and the deadline to submit your application for the scholarship is March 7th, 2025. And that's all of our announcements.
Thank you, Kurt. So the Route 571 presentation, 6 to 8 p.m. Where'd you say that was going to be?
It will be in room A.
Yeah, it will be in room A. And do you know if that's going to be a presentation, or is that going to be where they?
The mayor will make a little more announcement on that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, because I just actually opened that up today. It was on my desk. So it says you will have an opportunity to review exhibits, ask questions, discuss any concerns with county representatives and their consultant. So it sounds like.
It sounds like the one I've been to those.
Yeah.
Those are good. Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
to
we
those.
just received the information, but I wanted to
Mhm.
at least get it out there so we can have it on the website tomorrow.
Okay, great. Mayor?
Okay, thanks. First, congratulations to Eagles and their fans for for an impressive victory. I was glad there was no controversial calls that decided the outcome. Carrie mentioned the taxes. What she didn't mention is if you have not paid, you are already late since it's 10th already. And I say that because I saw somebody drop something in the box at 5:30 when I left. That won't be picked up till tomorrow. So I don't know if you pay tonight online, whether that would be considered today or will be considered tomorrow. But
She was mentioning the sewer taxes, so those.
I hope
yeah,
so, but sewers are not due for another month, which is another thing I never understood. Should be same day. So anyway, so if you have not paid, please do pay. Otherwise, we have to go back and charge interest beginning of first of the month. That's a state law, not a township decision. Mr. Church, I'm going to comment about hazmat when it comes to that matter, but I hope you misspoke because you spoke about 2025 budget. I haven't seen 2025 capital budget. So unless you hacked in our system, I don't know how you know what's. Oh, yeah, that's a wish list for future years. That always gets moved. Okay, that explains it. Okay, but that always, a lot of things get moved in there. That's why I was a little surprised when you said 2025 budget. I was going to talk about the presentation for 571. They actually had promised us 2 days, so I don't know why now they are saying only 1 day, but at least it's there 1 day. It's going to be very similar if you have attended the PSENG presentation. We expect it to be very similar. They will have display boards and you can go around and ask questions. So it's not, at least last time we spoke, it's not going to be like a PowerPoint presentation followed by question and answer. You can just come in and just like what PSENG did, go around various display boards, look at it. The plans are actually on the township website, and I will request them to post a link to those plans on the website. Again, this project was approved by council many years ago. I think it's probably even before Linda got on the council. So this is funded by federal grant. So it's not open for redesign. It's more for informational purpose only because it's been approved and funded by federal grant and approved by one previous council what it is going to be. So it's not open for redesign. It's more for informational purpose only. So those are comments for now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Going to the council now. Dan, you want to start?
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment on the resolution 2025 R050, which is the first on our list, which is our opposition to the Senate, and there's an accompanying assembly bill. This bill is just terrible policy that will have disastrous impact not only on West Windsor but on towns all across the state. So it's a little just befuddling to see that it's being even considered in our state legislature. I realize that the probably underlying attempt is to help make it easier to convert abandoned or poorly utilized commercial properties into housing, although that ability exists already. There's nothing that's preventing that from happening now. And the underlying issue here is that this bill basically overrides local authority to make decisions about zoning, to make decisions reflective of their master plan, and to make decisions that are in the best interest of their own community. It seems to be a flagrant conflict of home rule models, and it can actually have sort of create sort of predatory behavior by developers. I just wanted to give an example.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give sort of a complete hypothetical example, just for a few people in the
Like the
audience.
co-ops in New York
Yeah.
back in the
For
70s. or
people who
something,
might
yeah.
listen to this later, but, and again, this is purely hypothetical, but if, for example, the property owner of the shopping center on 571, which is the home of Worry Mart and PJ's and Al John's and many others, decided that they looked at that property and they said, you know what, we can make a lot more money if we turn this into housing. So this bill basically gives them the blueprint of how to do that, and without getting the town's approval. They can slowly start raising the rents to the point where it's not worthwhile for businesses to stay in that facility. to the point where they now meet this sort of the occupancy levels that trigger this legislation.
Which
to
is not
allow
a high bar. It's something like only 40%.
Yeah,
it's very low.
and then all of
Very
a
low
sudden,
bar.
poof, they can basically force that to turn into housing and force the town to change their zoning laws, and that's just not okay. It's
Yeah,
a terrible policy.
Yeah, it is
just not-
taking
not good
taking
enough.
the authority from local,
Yeah.
local, like entities is
So,
terrible.
thank you, Andrea, for including some of my content in the resolution here. I think it's really important that we use our voice to let our representatives know. I've reached out to all of our representatives individually to let them know my feelings about this. And I truly hope that this doesn't get out of committee.
Thank
Yeah.
you much.
But very
No.
concerned that this would be perhaps in addition to our obligation. So we have a plan, we have a number, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
figure out where it's gonna go. And then all of a sudden, this could be on top
Absolutely.
of all of
Top of
that.
everything.
That really worries me because
There's
That's
we'll
what the numbers-
create a higher number for you at the next round. As well, because if they create housing here, that will go into the equation, the Jacobson equation.
Sure.
She'll even have a higher number next year, next time.
And there's so many other ways for them, if they wanted to do that, they can put credits into the existing affordable housing model. That's, I mean,
There are.
they're already there.
Yeah.
That model
It's-
exists
It
already.
exists, we already
So-
have that.
You can use redevelopment in the conversion of.
So there's lots of other ways to incent this type of change, which is not a bad thing to happen, but it needs to happen under the context of our.
You're gonna see a number of bills come down the pike. This is one of them. Another one will be having the alternate structures and behind houses.
Accessory.
Yes, that's the other one.
Great.
Yes, we'll probably do that one next. I said that'll probably be the next, one of the next.
That'll be
resolutions.
the next bill.
Well, if it looks like it's actually going somewhere, this bill actually had an appointment in the Senate for, I think it was January 31st, and it was taken off, I noticed. So we're not sure if that's coming back in, but this one actually had a hearing at the Senate committee, so
Yeah.
that's why we particularly wanted to move quickly on this one.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dan. Sonia,
I don't have any comments.
nothing? Okay. Linda?
Yeah, I think Andrea, Sonia and myself, last week we attended the annual swearing in ceremony for the new police officers and those officers receiving promotion. So congratulations to all of them. And, you know, we're proud of the work that our police do in the community. Please be careful when driving, as we may get another inch or two of snow, sleet, rain, turning to ice and melting away, you know, this week. There's a couple of storms coming our way. So please just slow it down and use caution. And there's also a lot of ice out there. Sometimes you think it's a wet pavement, but it's ice. So just take it easy out there. It's, you know, a couple months we'll be getting into spring. That's.
I'm looking forward. Okay, February is Black History Month. We celebrate all African Americans have accomplished. In addition to the township proclamation that we just did in West Windsor, I was pleased to attend the Halo Race and Real Talk event put on by the Dutch Neck Presbyterian Church last Sunday. They used barbershop music to talk, and this is a female group, by the way, to talk about their feelings on race relations in America today. Happy Chinese New Year of the Snake. I want to thank the Huaxia Chinese School for inviting me to their annual cultural festival at High School North. Mayor was there too. I had a good time checking out the exhibits and the performances. And I want to announce that February is also National Engineers Week, starting on February 16th. So I'm wearing a Talbader Pie Engineering Honor Society t-shirt, a favorite of mine. I'm a past president and currently on the board of the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter. And I want you to please thank the engineers you know for your transportation, medical devices, electric power, food production and storage methods, computers, cell phones, and so much more. Congratulations, as Linda's mentioned, to our new and promoted members of our West Windsor Police Department. Three of us and the mayor, we watched the mayor swear them in last Monday. And tonight I want to talk about the two resolutions that we had that have a large impact on West Windsor. One of them, as Dan so eloquently talked about, was 2025 RO 50. At the last council meeting, the mayor had voiced his opposition. I think a number of us had been concerned about it. And this would not preempt the local zoning to allow the mixed-use development to replace commercial office parks and retail centers. It would override local municipality land use control in favor of developers, allowing them to build housing without regard to local zoning or prior affordable housing agreements. The resolution opposes this and describes current alternative paths for developers and the harm to West Windsor's well-thought-out master plan and zoning. I hope that our sister towns in Mercer County, as well as the rest of the state, pass a similar resolution to stop this bill. Please let the governor and our state and assembly members know that you oppose it. Our 2025 RO 51 resolution is support of an early voting location in West Windsor Township for the 2025 primary and general elections. In the 2024 election, despite written requests, West Windsor did not get its own early voting location. This created long lines, unequal voting opportunities, and likely negatively impacted voter turnout for West Windsor residents. So the mayor and council are requesting by resolution an early voting location for this year in a central location in West Windsor. Here again, please let our officials know at the state and county level, as well as the Board of Elections, know that you would like this opportunity to vote early locally. Thank you. Okay. Moving along to regular business here. Allison, did you have anything to add?
I do not.
No? All right, we have no public hearings, so if you want to get to the
Okay,
consent.
the
agenda.
consent agenda is bills and claims.
Okay. Does anyone have anything they wish to pull from the bills and claims?
Nope.
If not, then can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call?
Gawas,
Yes.
Chevers,
yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Mandel.
Yes. Thank you. Recommendations from administration and council clerk.
Okay, 2025 R 050, resolution stating opposition to Senate Bill S 1408. 2025 R 051, resolution in support of an early voting location in West Windsor Township for the 2025 primary and general elections. 2025 R 052, authorizing the appointment of Amber Henry as a member of the Human Relations Council with a term to expire on January 14th, 2027. 2025 R 053, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a grant application for a local recreation improvement grant with the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. 2025 R 054, authorizing the business administrator to purchase two Savin IM 7000 copiers under New Jersey State Contract 24-F00D 52426 from Roche Americas Corporation, care of Atlantic Tomorrow's Office, $25,958.10. 2025 R 055, authorizing the increase of the second one-year extension of contract with Scheidler Excavating Company, Inc. for snow removal services for $120,000 for a total not to exceed $190,000. 2025 R 056, authorizing the business administrator to purchase equipment and installation services for new security camera system upgrades for the municipal court from Johnston GP Inc., doing business as JCT Solutions under New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance Contract CK04, County of Bergen, subcontract 24-38 for $14,390. 2025 R 057, approving an additional extension of reservation of sewer capacity for the project known as Senior Living at Bear Creek, PB 19-13. 2025-R058, authorizing the business administrator to execute change order number 1F from Top Line Construction Corp. For the project known as the Bear Creek Resurfacing Project for a decrease of $16,292.65 for a revised total not to exceed $693,253.42. 2025-R059, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute amendment number 1 with Van Cleef Engineering Associates for additional survey and plan work for a freshwater wetlands application with the NJDEP for the project known as Alexander Road Pedestrian Safety Improvements for an increase of $9,600 for a total not to exceed $39,600. 2025-R060, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with Roberts Engineering Group for engineering, construction, administration, and inspection services for the Transit Village pedestrian safety projects, $4,970. 2025-R061, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 3 2025 Ford Escape all-wheel drive vehicles for the Department of Code Enforcement from Paramus Ford, Inc., doing business as All American Ford of Paramus under Bergen County NJCPA bid number BC-BID-24-43 for $84,298.08. 2025-R062, authorizing the West Windsor Police Department to continue participation in the Defense Logistics Agency DLA Law Enforcement Support Office, LESO program for 2025. 2025-R063, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 15 Axon Fleet vehicle cameras for the police department under New Jersey State Contract T0106, 17 Fleet-00738 from Axon Enterprise, Inc., and authorizing the mayor to execute said contract. $223,354.80. 2025-R064, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the renewal of a shared services agreement between West Windsor Township and Robbinsville Township for the provision of public health services. 2025-R065, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a shared service agreement with Mercer County for provision of hazardous materials response within Mercer County. And 2025-R066, approving the appointment of Jean Ward as the Registrar of Vital Statistics for a term of 3 years to expire February 17th, 2028.
Thank you, Allison. Would anybody like anything pulled?
I'd like to pull 2025-R065.
Okay, would anybody else like anything else pulled? No? Allison, can we go ahead then and vote on everything up to R064 and also including R066?
Okay, so approval for 2025-R050 up to 2025-R064 and 2025
Dash
R065 and
No,
66.
66. We're-
65 is
I'm sorry,
66.
66.
Right, we're leaving 65 out of this for now.
65 out.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve essentially everything but R065 that was just enumerated?
Salute,
Second.
A second. Roll call, please.
Gawas,
yes.
Jeevers,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Mandel.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, before we do R065, I would like to then have a motion to approve it. We don't, we'll discuss after we get a second.
So moved.
Second,
Second, okay, open for discussion. Linda, if you'd like to say something first, or you can let the mayor give his.
Well, let me go first. Let me make, I just want to make a few comments about this. Shared services agreement is a brand new agreement. Prior to this proposed agreement, the township has been operating under the intra-county mutual aid and assistance agreement with participating units in Mercer County. West Windsor, Hamilton, and Trenton were all taking on responsibilities for hazmat calls in Mercer County. In the past few years, Hamilton pulled out of the mutual aid agreement, leaving only West Windsor and Trenton to cover hazmat calls for the entire county. There wasn't any agreed upon direct funding given to West Windsor or Trenton in the mutual aid agreement. In number 5 of the mutual aid agreement, it states, nothing contained in this agreement shall be construed to require a participating unit to make a mutual aid and assistance response if the response will leave the participating unit's jurisdiction without sufficient police, fire, ambulance, and/or emergency protection, end quote. So there's no such clause in the newly proposed shared services agreement with the county. I think it's important to note that the proposed shared services agreement is a contract which obligates West Windsor to hazardous materials emergency response services, including necessary equipment and trained personnel. West Windsor's primary response area for hazmat calls would include West Windsor, East Windsor, Hightstown, Princeton, and Robbinsville. Robbinsville has been added to West Windsor's hazmat service area. The contract also states that the secondary response areas may require West Windsor's hazmat team to be, quote, be called to perform hazmat responsibilities outside of their primary response area due to the availability of the other hazmat teams or a request for additional assistance, end quote. The only other hazmat team is now Trenton. While the contract does mention reimbursements for such things as annual physicals and $25,000 annually to West Windsor to offset costs related to the management of the hazmat team, there is not a full commitment from the county to pay for new hazmat equipment or vehicles. In the township's 2024 capital budget, as I mentioned during executive session, it was projected for 2025 that the township would need to purchase $1.95 million for 2 new hazmat pieces of equipment. In addition, there was projected $500,000 for a new ambulance and funding to refurbish the other 2 ambulances, which were purchased in 2024. And I believe they're not operational right now. Hazmat calls can require a hazmat truck, fire engine, and ambulance. In terms of increased personnel coverage and overtime for all this, it is unclear. Keep in mind that our township is experiencing tremendous growth. A clear plan for dealing with the growth and taking on required additional contractual responsibilities at this time is very, very expensive. The council will be receiving the 2025 municipal operating and capital budgets later this month. Then we'll begin to have a more in-depth understanding of the fire and EMS proposed budgets. In talking with the mayor, I think it's, I've mentioned this, he's mentioned it to me or to us, that it may be time to hire a consultant to meet with our fire EMS chief, volunteer fire chiefs, and township management to take a close look at how fire, ambulance, and hazmat calls are being staffed and the actual costs, including additional staff and overtime. Consideration of the county transitioning to it being the sole provider of hazmat services for the entire county is something to be looked into for the future.
I think the mayor wanted to answer some of that, and then we'll let everybody else on the council ask questions and also comment.
Okay, thanks. First thing I want to make clear, based on Linda's comment, is that hazmat response has nothing to do with volunteer fire or EMS response. They're completely different. Volunteer fire companies don't respond to hazmat calls. Only the certified hazmat qualified people do. She did correctly say that Hamilton, West Windsor, and Trenton were covering the county, and Hamilton pulled out. That's a different reason I don't want to talk about in public. This is just, a lot of people ask me how we work with the county or whether we work well with the county, and this is an example of being a good neighbor. County requires this right now because they are not in the capacity to take over completely hazmat, and I've talked to them that eventually they will. So this is a stopgap 2-year agreement between that. but it's essentially a 60-day agreement because if we can pull out anytime with a 60-day notice. Mr. Church, again, I mean, I'll little sorry to disappoint you. This is not any exciting hazmat calls. Last year we had roughly about 13 calls. I had originally said 10. We roughly had about 13 calls. Most of them were auto accidents where the fuel spills and goes in. So, I mean, nothing exciting, bad, but nothing exciting from hazmat calls. Some of the other calls were leaking propane tank, chlorine leak in pool facilities, and couple of calls where somebody dumped garbage in the parking lot or someplace that couldn't be identified. So just be safe and call hazmat. They just identified what it was, put it in a drum, and somebody else took away. So there was no call here that was really exciting or really truly a material of that would cause damage to anybody. The other thing is whether if we sign this agreement or not, we will have to respond to calls at least in West Windsor. Oh, by the way, out of the 13 calls, 5 were in West Windsor, 4 in Princeton, 3 in East Windsor, 1 in Hamilton. So essentially it was 8 calls, not 13 calls, because 5 calls were in West Windsor. We would have had to respond to those calls anyway. So this negotiations between county and township has been going on for quite a while. It was supposed to be signed and done in 2024. Unfortunately, it wasn't done in 2024. Otherwise, we would have gotten paid in 2024 as well. So that's one of the drawbacks of not doing in 2024. But I wanted to make sure that we don't commit to more than what we can do. And after talking to county business administrator, this is probably the best agreement they can do at this point. And depending on how much grants and other things they get, we will get a lot more money than that. Regarding the truck replacement has nothing to do with hazmat um, agreement or not. If the truck is broken and we need to handle our own hazmat calls, we need the truck anyway, but it's not in the 2025 budget. That's why I was surprised when you said that. The agreement will not require any new personnel. There's no plan, and the budget that the council will get in a couple of weeks will not have any new personnel other than not any new personnel for fire or hazmat calls. I have received a number of questions from council. I've tried to respond as best as I can. People keep asking about costs. It's very difficult to estimate costs exactly, especially when your sample size is so small, 8. If a call comes during the day, regular hour, there's no additional cost because either the firefighter is sitting in the fire station or going and responding to the call. Of all the 13 calls, as far as I could tell, only one call when somebody had to come on overtime. And I forgot whether the call was in West Windsor or outside West Windsor. I forgot to look at that. But out of the 13 calls, only one person. So it's not as if there's a lot of heavy lifting that the township will have to do. Originally, the county wanted a 10-year agreement, and I didn't agree to that. I think 2-year agreement is a reasonable short time. I mean, of the 2 year, 2 months out of the first year are already gone. So 1/6 of the first year is gone because somebody asked me why not sign 1 year. 1/6 of that is already gone. And again, this is really a 60-day agreement because if we do find really that we are overextending more than what we have always done in the past, we can always give a 60-day notice and withdraw out of the agreement. Since the new county executive got elected, he has been working well with the township. There's several things that we have done together. So I would like to extend our hand to county and keep us in the agreement. It's up to the council if they want to vote for it or not. If they don't vote for it, we will continue to do provide hazmat mutual aid. If a call comes, I cannot morally tell them don't respond. I just can't, as a person, tell them don't respond. So the only thing that will happen is we won't get paid. We will continue to do what we are doing unless the council passes a resolution separately and forbids anybody from leaving town. So as a mayor, I believe that this is the best agreement at this time and helps the county out. And the county has worked with West Windsor on various issues. And I will strongly encourage the council to support the agreement. It's on for an up and down vote, and we will continue to provide services no matter what their decision is. It's just whether we do it as a mutual aid or we do it as a shared services agreement where we get paid. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, but that's where I stand. I've been very open in saying that this is probably not the best we can do, but this is the best we can do at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Dan, did you have anything to say on the agreement?
Nothing to add.
Nothing? Sony, did you want anything?
No, I think Linda brought some good points, and thanks for some of the explanations, Mayor. My biggest concern was we should have a way out, and I think we do have that with the 60-day notice. And I think the biggest concern is how do we, if the ambulance also goes to a hazmat call, do we have backup for our town and not leave the town with no ambulance service? So I think that's another concern of us that we have. And as you explained, like, we pass this resolution or not, we will continue to provide the service. So this is just an extension of what we are doing and try to get some expenses covered.
I mean, depending on how much.
It's not perfect.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see a little more of the expenses covered.
Well, the
I don't-
equipment, the problem is.
the
gonna be
equipment, yeah.
The equipment, and, but like you said, I mean, I know the capital, it's a picture of, from year to year of, a little bit of a roadmap too, of what we're gonna buy, but, the current hazmat truck is this year 26 years old, so, and we're guaranteeing that we're gonna have the equipment that's gonna be here, it's gonna be working, and I guess are you saying that we're not gonna pay for any new hazmat equipment in our capital budget for 2025?
I mean, whether I say that or not, you can always take, if I put it in, you can always take it out. But we don't expect, let me put
Yeah,
it
but you're
this way,
saying you're gonna
because
or not. I
The
wanna
number
know,
of
is it
calls
in it
that
or
we
not?
have for
Because-
hazmat is not as bad as, like,
what-
we're talking about
Oh, but it's
10 to 13 calls. The question is, the wear and tear of the truck.
mean, it's-
We provide the service to the county or not, we still have to provide that service to our own town, right? Even if we give the 60-day notice and pull ourselves out, we are still responsible for.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 calls. It's not like if
Right.
it was 800 calls, then you can talk about wear and tear. And see, the other important issue, the point I'm trying to make is that there's no additional expense, equipment expense because of this agreement. I'm not saying we won't have expense for hazmat. There's no additional expense because of this agreement. In fact, there's a good chance that if you sign the agreement and they apply for the grant and we get the grant, it will defray some of the cost of the equipment. That's a much better chance than having to spend money out of pocket to buy something simply because of this agreement. That is the point I'm trying to make. No, there's no additional cost required because of this agreement. And the only reason I'm not very definitive is I just met with John to go over the capital budget, and I don't expect, that's why I was surprised when he said 2025. I thought he hacked into our system. So
No,
So-
we have a 5-year plan in our book, so.
yeah, but I mean, those get moved. I mean,
know.
anything that's not in last year's budget, it's just a number
20
on
years, I'm
paper.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
So that very likely I do expect not to be in this year's budget. I mean, there's no hard commitment since I haven't given you the budget, but I don't expect it to be in 25 budget.
I'm just curious, is it possible or can we even ask the towns that we would be responding to, pitch in their
That's,
share
see, one of
towards
the
the
good,
shared services?
one of the good things of signing this agreement is it becomes county's headache to go, let's say there's something happens in Princeton on a private property and we go and respond and we have to recover a cost. That becomes county's headache to go and recover the cost from them, not our headache.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
I
then
mean,
county,
we are
county,
not, we are
but-
not signing agreements with East Windsor, Hightstown, Robbinsville. We are signing agreement with the county. So the county is going to pay us. What county does with those three towns is county's issue between county and those towns, right?
Okay.
But we are not signing agreement with individual towns.
right.
Yeah, so county is going to pay us whatever is specified in the agreement plus
Whatever they recover.
whatever grants they get. And given county's finances, I think I stretch them as much as I can stretch them.
Look, I mean, the question to me isn't, do we sign this and then just keep them mutual aid? The question would be, we want to stay in this business forever, or not? I mean, it doesn't make any sense for us to give free mutual aid to everybody for the next couple of years and then not get any money from anyone. So, so to me, the main thing I think we want to look at as a policy, which you say the county is already looking at some way of getting of where they take over this business in some manner.
I have suggested to them, but the county's hands are full. I mean, those of you who know, county's hands are full. I mean, last year they had such a hard time just coming up with a budget. They have caught up a lot. I mean, they are doing a lot of good work, but I have told them that just take over the whole thing because it's a lot easier.
Maybe some other
And-
town would like to get this good deal. Who
No,
knows?
and
Um,
you,
the- Yeah,
and
so,
the agreement we are signing is very similar to agreement Trenton signed, and you saw that.
yeah,
It's not-
I got a hold
It's
of the
not
Trenton
any
agreement,
different than
yes.
what Trenton signed, so
Mhm.
it's a very similar agreement.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So my big thing would be, do we really want to be in this business long term? And there's no way I would say, let's pull out in 2 months, because that would leave everybody in the lurch, and I don't think anybody here wants to do that. It impacts everybody's safety. So I would want to think, like in a year, I would want us to be looking at this and saying, or actually before the year is up, and say, is this something we want to still be doing in a year? And if it isn't, then give the county enough notice to either see if another town is interested in doing it, a contractor, or whether they want to do it. But I wouldn't want to say we're going to do this forever, because
No, this
we
is
may
a
not wanna-
2-year
It's a
agreement. so
2-year,
it's
but
not-
something that we may just not want to stay in that business. So at some point, one of the things we did put in the contract is that they're going to be giving us updates on how well they're doing with getting the grant money. And so from a council point of view, I would want us in so many months to say, okay, please come back to the council, let us know on some basis how the county is doing with getting us money, how's that cash flow coming in, and are we still on the same numbers that we were looking at?
Yep.
Are these 13, is it 12, is it 13, is it 25? Where are we in terms of expenditures also? So-
Maybe what you're saying
just
is
looking
like
for some
in
updates.
while, in maybe 1 year
Yeah.
before 2026 budget season, maybe we can circle back and get an update on where we are with it.
We probably need to look in like 6 months, what's happened so far under the contract. And then that would give us a thing to say, maybe in next year's budget, maybe we want to say that's when we want to move out of this, or maybe we'll just say this looks okay and we can work with this for a while. So I would like a chance for us to get an update so we know where we stand somewhere before
Yeah,
the
I mean,
next budget.
something, if suddenly 6 calls come and 3 anthrax call comes, then you will definitely hear. If it's just some car
No,
spilling
no.
oil, I
No,
mean, I'm
I'm
not going to come and.
Looking more
tell
for an
you-
overall broad
Yeah,
picture.
but I
for-
mean, that,
Are we actually getting, like a lot of it's an unusual contract because most of it doesn't say you're getting paid. Most of it says we're going to try to find some money for you. And I think in most cases, they're going for those grants for Trenton also, and I'm sure Trenton needs them. So I expect that they will be going after them. But we want an update, just like, like, since they're going to be required to give us an update. I don't expect to see that cash in 2 minutes in anybody's pocket. I expect it's going to take a little while. So we would want to see some of those updates. So council has an idea of where this is going for the future.
So I would suggest that maybe we put it in our calendar in August or September.
Yeah.
As a little reminder to call and say.
Right. Well, and that's why we put that.
Something simple.
Right.
The ladies will tell you, I don't like to generate reports for the sake of generating reports. We don't have
Yeah,
manpower.
so-
They will tell you. I very much.
Okay, I'm-
Calls, it should be a very easy report.
All right. Well,
I will figure out a way of keeping you updated, but I
will
generally
tell you
don't
which
commit to giving
agenda.
you quarterly reports because we don't have the manpower. And I don't like.
All right.
I don't think we need
Okay.
quarterly report.
I will-
I'm
We-
thinking like maybe end
we
of this
will-
year, we could get an
At the
update.
end of the year, I will give you a report as to how we have worked.
Put it on the agenda and we'll give you plenty of advance notice saying.
Yes, yes.
Please
I-
go to the county
Yes.
if they haven't been giving you regular reports, give you, here's where it looks like we're getting our money in, and then some sort of a summary of what kind of calls we've made and, whether other kinds of for next year's budget, we'll be a little bit even more ready if we're going to have to buy all kinds of equipment that isn't covered or things like that. We'll know a little bit
Oh,
more.
absolutely. And that you will
Mhm.
get. I mean, just to prepare next year's budget, we need to know too how much we expended and how much we got back and whether
Right,
we had
so-
to spend
so
out of pocket.
Well,
Yeah, they have.
well, okay, well, they have and what I have. So, okay, I'm just saying it's not totally off the hook. We will want to watch and see what the money looks
I
like.
will give
And
you.
I'm sure you do
I-
too.
By
So-
end of the year, I will give you a report.
Wait a minute. Okay, we'll work out the time, no problem. Are there any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to clarify, because I don't know whether you changed it, that you said you're not going to put in any new hazmat equipment.
By equipment, do you mean the truck or do you mean, we're only talking about this truck?
Linda, I don't think he's able to hear it.
Yes, for the 2025 capital budget, then are you saying that you're not going to put in for those two, let's call them vehicles instead of equipment, right? Because it's, what was it? 1.6 million and 350,000. So that's $1.95 million for those two. things.
Again, I mean,
So is that an in or
I-
is it not? in?
I am not making a firm commitment because I have not finalized the budget. But the statement I made, and I'll stand by that statement, that there is no expense that will be required solely because you signed this contract. If we need to buy XYZ, we need to buy XYZ for our own use, whether you signed a contract or not. I don't expect the truck to be in the budget. That much I will tell you because we did look at it and moved a few things around today. Within 2 days, I'll finalize that with John, but I don't expect that truck to be in the 25 contract.
And what about new personnel for fire?
There's
and
definitely
hazmat?
not because of this thing. Every one of you,
specifically, but-
no, every one of you, because I was sitting with John and going over priorities, every one of you have listed new personnel in EMS, DPW, police as a priority. Every one of you, whoever submitted council priorities. So we are going through that. So again, my comment is it's not, if we do have new personnel, it's because the council suggested that as your priorities, not because we signed the hazmat agreement. Every one of you signed, and I'll bring that paper back when I present the budget.
Well, I understand that, but it's begging the question this year, because we weren't gonna ever not do that hazmat this year. But it's begging the question between the county and those calls, and the county's expanding. Every town is building and building more. And building more. So we get to a certain point where regulations, and then we get to the breaking point where we say, we can't do this anymore. We want you to take over. I mean, it's just us in Trenton right now. So, you know, I mean, that's I think the question to kind of look at for this year.
I mean, if we reach that breaking point, I will tell the county we can't do it this year and get out in 60 days. I will do that. And that's one reason why this has taken 6 months to sign. I mean, we started probably last August or September, and we didn't get any money for 24 because we didn't have any agreement. But I just wanted to make sure we don't, and we also waited to make sure until Trenton votes on it, to make sure we have exactly similar, other than the thing that you added. Our agreement is very similar to what Trenton did, and you have read the Trenton's agreement. So if I do think we are getting overextended, I will withdraw ourselves. But again, we are not hiring any new people because of hazmat. I mean, for 8 calls, if I need a person, I'm in trouble. If I need a person to hire a person for 8 calls, I'm in trouble. There's something seriously wrong. So I don't expect to hire unless something seriously changes and suddenly the 8 calls become 80, in which case I'll withdraw anyway. But if any, and this is not just a 1-year experience. We have been doing hazmat for, I don't know, forever. So this is not just a 1-year experience. This is a long-term experience that we have had. So based on that experience, I don't expect to need any additional personnel. Definitely not for hazmat. And there's nothing in the budget for hazmat.
Yeah, no vehicles for hazmat.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions, comments, or thoughts? No? Are we ready for a roll call vote? And just so everyone understands, this is a roll call vote that will pass our 2022 R065 as yes, as a resolution. 2025-R065, the resolution. Okay.
Okay, roll call vote. Gawas,
Yes.
Jeevers,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Mandel.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving along. We have no introduction of ordinances, so we have time for a second public comment from our large audience today. So you know the rules. Please get up. Thank you.
Okay, good evening again. John Church, 11 Princeton Place. Sorry for opening up this can of worms here that you spent 15 minutes talking about. So we'll look for the capital budget. And as you know, I keep an eagle eye on the budget. So if it, we'll see what happens. But all I would want to say is that in the past, there might have been more of a need for this. We don't have freight trains running through the town any longer, but they were a hazard. In fact, some years ago, a tank car of chlorine got derailed and broke open up in Metuchen. And it was a huge problem. Chlorine gas went all over the town and it was just awful. However, that's not going to happen anymore here. I don't think we don't have freight trains anymore. So in the past, if this were going to happen, I might be more in favor of really keeping up with all the hazmat equipment that we could have. So anyway, having that taken care of. I was going to ask a question about W Square, the Avalon Bay development. Several of the connecting roads are not yet open. Maybe this is a question for the planning board more than but the mayor's here and he's on the planning board. There are 3 potential exits and entrances that are still not open with W Square. The Vaughan Drive extension, either side of that, the one going through the New Jersey Transit parking lot is not open, and they can't get out of that to get onto the roundabout road. There's also the other entrance that comes from the station up through Station Drive and goes up and merges into 571 to go over the bridge. That one isn't open yet either. So I was just wondering if we could have an update as to when there's going to be a grand opening of W Square and whether these roads will at that time be open, especially the back one going through New Jersey Transit's parking lot is really essential. We must have that road open. It's an emergency exit. If there are any problem in that development, fire trucks and ambulances might have no other way to get in and for people to get out other than that back door through the New Jersey parking lot. So that's about all I have to say. Just a editorial comment on early voting. I never have liked early voting. You remember early voting came in with COVID. Nobody wanted to go on election day and stand in on long lines. Now COVID is mostly over, not completely over, but it's mostly over. I just can't understand why people would want to vote 2, 3, 4 weeks earlier. Things can happen. You have October surprises with elections. All kinds of things can happen leading up to the election. I always vote in person. I insist on that because you might go and vote early and then all of a sudden something happens and some candidate is no good or whatever. So I just I really have a problem understanding why people want to early vote unless they're going to be out of town or something like that. So hooray for in-person voting. I'm going to continue to do it that way. And I would encourage others to do it as well. So thanks for your attention.
Thanks, John. Oh, and by the way, early voting is in person, but it's up to 10 days, I believe, before the, yeah, it's a little earlier. Thank you. Yeah, might regret either way.
Yeah.
Mayor, did you want to say?
So John, the road going into the parking lot is ready. I have driven over it. It works. We're just waiting for ribbon cutting. They have temporarily blocked it with their equipment, but the road is ready thanks to working with parking authority. When they repaved the parking lot, they connected the road, and I have driven my car to test that it works. It works. So it will be ready. We will have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah. I drove past it about a couple weeks ago too, and there's a road there and there's a couple of big things blocking it, but there's a road, so. Looking forward to that opening up. Anything else, Mont? Did you want to add anything? Mayor? Did you want to? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment. And now I'm going to go into the council reports. I'm going to start with Martin's report since he's not here for the Human Relations Council. Martin, a warm welcome to their new HRC member, Pramrod Ramdazi. Pramrod is looking forward to serve and participating in the community work. The world needs more people like him. She started meeting by sharing their thoughts for celebrating Diversity Day sometime in June, and some shared the idea on celebrating our community with diverse food, music, dance, and culture, and one of the HRC members proposed to do Diversity Day at the fire station. That's Martin's report. Sonia, do you have anything?
Yeah, Affordable Housing met on February 6th. They had their reorg meeting also at that same meeting. Tom Calabria continues to be the chair and Jean Jacobson the vice chair. They were voted in. During that meeting, members also took a look at, they reviewed the senior living at Bear Creek, the final site plan. The committee did not find any issues with it, so they were supposed to send a memo to the planning board. I believe it goes in front of planning board next week, the Bear Creek site plan. That development is going to have the senior living I think 220 total units with 51 being affordable. So I think it's like a weird 23% is what it comes to. The attorney actually informed us that DCA will be moving forward. I think they're going to put it in that no window bedrooms will not be allowed. So even though we lost the battle, West Windsor, when we had that lawsuit, I think West Windsor played a big role in getting Fair Housing Act implement the no bedroom rule. So I
Right,
think
right.
we lost the battle, but we won the war.
Yeah, yeah.
Things, I think that was discussed in length.
Oh, we did good.
So we did good. We can't go back, but going forward, I think that's going to be implemented very soon.
Children from now on that have a window will be
Would be
thanking
nice.
West Windsor Health.
Right. Okay, yeah. That's it. Our parking authority meets this week on Wednesday. And the Emergency Management Council is also planning to meet on February 18th.
Dan?
So the Board of Ed met on the 28th of January. Two important issues to chat about. One was they presented the 2024 financial audit, which show that they're in a very good financial position. The reserves are good. There's no deficiencies. There's basically no corrective actions and there's very clean audit. So it's good. And also in the context of financial statements, they presented the first of probably many overviews of the 25-26 budget. Two items of interest of where there's going to be some significant increase in costs. One is in healthcare, about a 10% increase there. And in transportation costs, about a 4%.
Transportation is a big cost for the district.
Well, it's, it's on a $90 million budget, so 4% is not a rounding error.
Yeah.
The next Board of Ed meeting is actually tomorrow. The rec department didn't meet, it's not meeting in February. And just to some continuity with the parking authority, I don't know if you've driven down Wallace Road, but the fence is up.
The fence is up. It looks
They
nice.
put it up
actually.
this past weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Have to go look. Let them out.
The Board of Ed, they haven't discussed anything about rezoning of the schools or moving to K-5 yet,
No,
right?
Yeah, that was the,
That's.
you learn a lot of Super Bowl parties.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden. It's like, oh, okay.
Dan?
That's it.
Thank you. Linda?
The Shade Tree Commission held a brief special meeting on February 3rd. Helen Rankin was reelected as chair and Ellen Clancy was elected as vice chair. Commission approved a letter of support for a FOAS grant proposal to the state's Green Acres program for a walking and hiking trail in town. The trail would be named Moses Tunda Tatami Trail. We already proved that they moved forward with the grant. Arbor Day is tentatively scheduled for April 26th.
Thank you, Linda. Environmental Commission, next regular meeting of the EC scheduled for this Thursday, February 13th, which will also be their reorg meeting. And on Tuesday, February 4th, I attended a meeting with Francis Guzik, Dan Delbomilski, and Commissioner and Chair Ephraim Books and Elliot Gordon to review the Sustainable Jersey recertification requirements and the timing. The current points were identified as well as future points based on our West Windsor projects that'll be followed up by the Environmental Commission. And they're confident they'll be able to continue to be able to qualify for the highest silver certification again this year. And that's that. Are there any more administration updates at this point? None? Nothing at this point. Okay, Allison, do you have any? You didn't have anything else, right?
I have no
No.
announcements.
There's no closed session, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
Salute.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Before I